When we think of the war in Ukraine, we picture the trenches, the bitter cold, the mud, and the quiet, human moments stolen between artillery strikes. We contrast those human lives against the industrial scale of the aggressor, thousands of tons of steel and armor grinding across the horizon. Controlling territory and deploying artillery only accounts for the physical front. There is a second battleground, and it operates entirely out of sight. An invading state can absorb massive casualties and lose fleets of armor without collapsing. They endure this physical destruction so long as their internal reality remains perfectly intact. This cognitive shield consists of state-sponsored narratives, historical revisionism, and systemic lies designed to isolate a population from the truth. High explosives can shatter bridges and supply depots, but they cannot destroy an ideology. Total victory remains out of reach without first achieving informational supremacy. To dismantle a globally entrenched aggressor, we must weaponize pure, unadulterated information. To execute that today, we are turning to artificial intelligence. A nationwide apparatus generates lies faster than any human team of diplomats or journalists can verify them. The math simply does not work in our favor. Breaking this deadlock requires a different class of weaponry, an arsenal built on logic, algorithms, and machine intelligence capable of operating at the exact scale of the deception. The Information Against Evil framework, pioneered by researcher Dana Sepps, transforms data into an active countermeasure. This compares traditional human analysis with computational scale. When deconstructing a multi-layered narrative, human bandwidth hits a hard limit. Large language models act as strategic analytical engines. They ingest millions of data points simultaneously, pinpointing contradictions and stripping lies out of the geopolitical ecosystem. Artificial intelligence operates without historical sentiment. It holds up a mirror, exposing the raw, mathematical failures of the aggressor's narrative. This has led to the development of the Peace Conference Project, a digital space where AI models run hundreds of simulations of high-level diplomatic negotiations. Traditional diplomacy is heavily burdened by political theater, delayed by vetoes, and paralyzed by bureaucratic stagnation. These AI models rapidly cross-reference decades of international treaties, border disputes, and historical shifts to identify pathways for de-escalation that human actors miss. It maps the entire multipolar board, calculating the complex, intersecting interests of powers like the United States, Russia, and China in real time. Human politicians are frequently constrained by domestic polling or compromised by the desire to appease. By calculating long-term consequences purely on the data, the machine offers a roadmap to peace. The math here is never perfectly static. The models must constantly adjust for the unpredictable actions of individual global leaders. On one side, you have an aggressor whose survival strategy relies on enforcing an absolute cognitive distortion field over their own citizens. On the other, shifting political winds and leadership changes in the West complicate the math regarding long-term support for Ukraine. When the geopolitical landscape is defined by human inconsistency, the algorithmic neutrality of artificial intelligence becomes the steadiest compass we have to chart a course toward victory. Dismantling an aggressor state requires the total erasure of its informational weapon, an objective Zev summarizes as Russia delenda est in a purely data-driven context. This structural diagram outlines the three requirements for a post-war blueprint: demilitarization, de-escalation, and depropagandization. Depropagandization is the systematic, algorithmic dismantling of a population's manufactured reality. Once that specific pillar is removed, the entire structure driving the conflict collapses. If you destroy the physical military and leave the ideology untouched, demilitarization is just a temporary pause. The cognitive machine will simply build new weapons. When machine intelligence becomes a permanent layer of our informational environment, it changes how human societies process facts. This technological integration leads to planetary education, a system where the global sphere of human thought, or the noosphere, is updated for an age where truth is mathematically provable. We are moving toward a global architecture where truth is actively monitored, verified, and defended by a continuous network of machine intelligence. Because of this, our traditional physical defense alliances will have to evolve. Securing physical borders is no longer enough. They must learn to protect this new cognitive territory. To genuinely stand for peace today means treating reality itself as an operational domain. It means deploying truth as a direct offensive weapon. The victors of future conflicts will be those who can algorithmically defend the truth against systemic distortion.